All right, there we go. Forge gang! I am still a hard man. Let's go. All right, I am Imperator of Forge, and I am back with more R&R, more psychotherapy with Imperator of Forge, and many more. I want to talk about Reformed Stoic in this one, and Reformed Stoic's delusional view of the world and relationships between men and women, and overall his false dialectic. What's up, David Baranes likes real men. That's a weird name. Somebody said all handsome men must wear cool shades today. Said hi. What's up, David? How are you doing, man? Thanks for that, bro. I want to talk about Reformed Stoic, and I want to talk about your false metrics, your bad optics that you have. You have very bad optics when it comes to looking at partner relationships, pair bondage, and all of that stuff. It sounds to me like you were doing something good at one point in your life, and then at a certain point you stopped. You stopped at a certain point in your life, and you gave up. And then from then on, you made up these excuses for yourself about why it is that you can't get laid, you can't get any women, and it's like none of that is just true. It's just simply not the case. I know a guy who has traveled all over the world. He's been all over the world, and he gets it, man. He gets laid often. Okay? He's got tattoos on his eyes. Well, not directly on his eyes. He's ripped, and he gets it, man. He goes all over the world, and he does whatever he wants, and he gets plenty of sex. So, Reformed Stoic, I don't really understand what your issue is. You gave up at a certain point in your life. Well, it sounds like you were kind of doing some good when you were in Boston. You mentioned that you went out on 2 dates or something. I don't know where that went or how well that went. And then when you moved out of Boston, you kind of just gave up. You threw in the towel. You quit. You became a jabroni, so to speak. Now, I know that Reformed Stoic is not going to take any advice that I say. More than likely, he's probably not going to even know or watch this. But you took on a lie. You took a false identity or a false lie from watching the media. Now, of course, if you watch what's on the media, if you watch the legacy media, they're going to tell you that men have all sorts of problems. They're going to tell you that you've got all these like mental issues and stuff that you don't have, that is just fundamentally nonsense because they're trying to sell you a product. So if you're partially bald, well, of course, they're going to tell you that they've got something for that. If you pay enough money, you can have that product, and it's a selling pitch. All it is a selling pitch. But Reformed Stoic, you're actually not that ugly of a guy. Like, you're not deformed. So I don't know what your pity trip is per se, but you have this victimhood entitlement. Um you're not a zoomer, you're a millennial, right? You are a millennial, but you still have this entitlement thing going to where you think that you deserve or should deserve to have a high quality woman who is chaste, or a high quality woman who happens to be chaste. You're never going to get that. Let's just be real. And for that matter, I'm never going to have that either. You're never going to have a 10 out of 10. You're never going to get that. So, Reformed Stoic, you're never going to get a 10 out of 10 woman. And to be fair, I'm probably never going to get that either. So, why don't you try to focus for going with a 5 out of 10? So, my friend, actually, Sebastian Moran here, like, I don't mean to put you down, Sebastian, but I mean, Sebastian is not, like, he's an ordinary looking dude, basically. And he was married and he had kids. And I know someone who has been all over the world, and he gets laid quite often, or he was, until the COVID pandemic closed up the borders. But he was going to Thailand and he was getting lots of sex, or to Colombia, wherever he was going, El Salvador, Colombia. He knew what he was doing, and he had a plan. He had a game theory. So, you're not an ugly-looking dude, Reformed Stoic. You're not hideous, and you're not ugly whatsoever. You're an ordinary-looking guy, and I don't think that you're any more grotesque looking than Southern Israelite is, for example. So, and Southern Israelite got a woman. Okay, Southern Israelite had sex, he got a woman pregnant, and he had a baby. And he's no more uglier or better looking than you are. So, there's something going on with your attitude. You have a very, what should I say? You're looking in the wrong places, basically. What you should do if, like, you want to score with a high quality woman, I could tell you exactly what you should do. Make a fake portfolio about yourself and incorporate a fake business. Just create a website, make a fake portfolio, and create a fake business. Set up a website for that business. Tailor yourself, cater yourself, wear a suit and tie or something, or a bow tie, and just kind of pretend that you're rich and you have money. Save up as much as you can and find some ways to make money, and then you'll start getting attention from 10 out of 10s. Now, if you want to go with some lesser quality women, what you could do is you could get a nose ring, get a few tattoos, and get a nose ring and a tongue ring basically just kind of do something to look out of the ordinary. You could get a Leopold, you could get some tattoos and some nose rings and a mouth ring and get a mohawk hairdo or something like that, and you'll get attention. You'll get plenty of attention doing that. Just dye your hair and work out a lot. And a lot of women are into the keto and vegan diets. A lot of women are into the keto and the vegan diets. So just quit eating meat for a while. Become a vegan. Train yourself to be a vegan or get on the keto diet and just do that. And you'll get plenty of attention. You could also save up some money. Just save up as much as you can and go to Thailand. Go to the Philippines. Go to Southeast Asia. And go to Latin America. You could just go to Mexico. Mexico's not that expensive. Even for the average earning American, it's not. And as long as you're well dressed and plain spoken and have a good attitude, you should easily be able to find a woman. You should relatively easy be able to find someone to go out with and do it. There's plenty of lonely women out there in the world that want a guy, that want to score with a dude. There's plenty of women out there. You're looking in the wrong places. Okay. Mormon Shaggy weighs about 90-something pounds. The guy literally cannot digest solid foods, or certain types of solid foods. And he's not a 10 out of 10. And he goes to bars all the time in San Francisco, and he gets women. He scores. Or at least he alleges that he does. And he gets turned down all the time. And I bet you Sebastian Moran was turned down when he was dating. I bet you Toxic Angel was turned down. Every guy who has ever tried to go out and date has been turned down. And when that happens, you retain your composure and you try again. You just try again. You change everything. You change up stuff. You lie. That's what you do. You lie. That's what women want, is liars. What it seems like to me is that women like security. They like a guy that knows what he's doing, and they want security. They don't want to be creeped out, and they kind of, not all women, but especially like the 10 out of 10s, they kind of want a guy who seems to be relatively has a nice attitude, is kind of going somewhere with themselves, is motivated and going somewhere, and just basically has a normal life. Like, women are not after exceptionally good-looking guys. They are after normal dudes with jobs and have been in the world and have experience and have done things who will sit down at the bar and have a drink and just talk about normal stuff. You don't talk to a woman about having sex. That creeps them out. You have to let them get to know you, and you have to approach them in such a way that they want your company. The more friends that you have and the more connections and social network that you have within your setting, the more attention you'll get. Women like men that have kind of at least a few friends. So, another thing too, that I wanted to point out is you're into this internet meme shit way too much. You've let 4chan hack your mind. You've let 4chan hack into your brain, Reformed Stoic. And you think that what you see on 4chan is what you're going to find in the real world. That's just not the case. You are habitually online way too much. You're online way too much. What's up, Krail? How are you doing? I think that you've been on the internet way too much, Reformed Stoic, and it's kind of warped your mentality. It's warped your thinking. Okay? What you need to do is just go to the gym and go ask men. Go ask every man that works at the gym, that works out. Ask them if they know what a Chad is. And I will bet $50. I will bet $50 that they don't even know what that is. Some guys are named Chad. Some guys, their first name is Chad. And there's a lot of Chads that are fat. And there's a lot of Stacys that are not good looking. You've let that 4chan's Reddit culture hack your brain. And you've given up. What happened to you and to a lot of men your age and younger is you let 4chan and Reddit hack your brain and give you a bunch of these memes that just don't really apply to reality. Most women are not Stacys and most men are not Chads. Okay, there is not a single person in this entire world that does not have an imperfection. There is no ideal man and there is no ideal woman. That's a product of this cosmetic culture. This fake cosmetical culture or subculture that like stresses like these people with money that live like in suburbia, ecotopia, whatever. And what do you call those West Coast guys that like they have their own small businesses or something? They're like self-made or something. The vast majority of people are not like that. Okay? If you were to literally go to a place where there's a lot of women, even high-quality, good-looking women, and you were to ask them about these 4chan memes about Stacys and Chads, they're not going to have any idea what that is. They're not going to have any kind of idea whatsoever what that is. If you were to go and ask like these supposedly top quality guys that work out all the time, that have careers and are self-made, I bet they're not going to even know what a Chad is or what a Chud is. They're not going to have no idea because they don't spend their time on 4chan or Reddit looking up what those memes are because they don't care. Either because they don't have the time to be concerned with it or they just don't care. Okay? Most people literally do not give a shit what's on an internet forum or an internet post or a YouTube video. So like Millennia Thinker, he's a guy that makes a lot of this stuff. Like, most people legitimately do not care or don't really think that deep about it. You're thinking way too deeply about this stuff. What you should do is just probably get some nose rings or like get a few tattoos and nose piercings or ring piercings and just kind of stand out. If you could stand out enough and have a reasonably good attitude, you should be able to get attention. You should be able to definitely get enough traction to finally get a relatively nice looking woman to go out on a date with. Because Reformed Stoic, you're not really that bad looking. I don't know where you got this mindset that you look hideous or whatever. You look no more uglier than Southern Israelites. Most women are not really looking for looks, anyways. They're really looking for money. Women want protection, they want stability, and they want money. If you could just lie and just BS enough, they'll believe it. Okay? It's not that hard to lie and make up a complete fake portfolio and a fake persona about yourself, and you play it up. You play up your good qualities and you play down the bad stuff about you, because that's what most people do. Most people lie. Most people lie and they BS when they go out on dates and stuff. Everybody has problems. There is not a single man on the face of the earth that is perfect and has no imperfections, and there is not a single woman on the face of the earth that is likewise so. If you're having that much trouble with the dating scene, then you're doing something wrong. You're saying something, you're being awkward, and you're creeping these women out. I remember you telling me, or somebody told me, that you were like stalking these women in their 20s at a gym or something, at a fitness center, and you were trying to like press these women in their 20s for their phone numbers, their contacts, where they live and stuff. And you could actually get reported to the police for doing that. Okay, that you're creeping them out. You're doing the wrong things and you're rushing way too fast, maybe due to desperation, and you're being really awkward about it. And what you're doing is you're creeping these women out. And you're probably also going after the wrong demographic. You should probably be focusing on women that are closer to your age or older. That's the first thing you should do, is probably try to go out with an older woman who is maybe about a 5 out of 10, maybe a 6. And you should be fine. If you're really desperate, go to Mexico City, go to Thailand, go to Uruguay. Just go to a place where there's women that have not been like mentally conditioned by woke media, and you should be just fine. You're an ordinary looking dude. You're going at it with the complete wrong mindset. Most people legitimately don't even think that deeply about these memes, about all these Reddit meme posts and stuff. Most people legitimately don't care. You know, you could just take some I got to be careful what I say on YouTube, but there's women that are addicted to substances. If you could perhaps maybe just get on a substance or something, you could get their attention and date them. You know, you could take advantage of their dependence on a substance to get favors from them. I have to be careful about the YouTube algorithm, so yeah. You're just an ordinary Reformed Stoic. You're an ordinary looking dude. you're taking it way too personal and you're hitting at the wrong areas. You're just like Francis E. Day-esque, that guy. You try way too hard and you punch way above your means. Francis has a very aggressive approach and outlook on life. He punches way above his means, and he's very socially awkward and is kind of just an ordinary looking guy. And he's got a lot of mental issues. I don't even think that you have that. And, like, dude, he still scores. You're not scoring because you don't have the right mindset for it. When you started to look at all these 4chan and Reddit posts about Chads and about the black pill, that's when you gave up on yourself. That's when you gave up on game theory. You gave up on scoring. That's what defeated you. What defeated you was how you perceive yourself and how you assume that other people perceive who you are. And you got a thin skin about it. You got real thin-skinned and frail about it, and you developed a frailty around what you assume about your looks and about yourself and how people look at you, and you got a sour puss attitude. You got a sourpuss attitude about it, and you gave up. So, another thing, too, I want to talk about is that men are not the only ones that go through loneliness. There is a loneliness epidemic with men, and there is a current of mental health issues with men, but that's also true of women and gays. Okay? You're acting as if women don't have problems with mental health. But it's been shown in studies that women, especially Zoomer women, have a huge amount of these mental health issues or mental health identifications. And more of these young women are identifying with mental health issues and with different sexual orientations. Millennial and Zoomer women are overly identify with a huge amount of like different related spectrums of disorders, whether it's neurological or personality or psychological disorders. And there is a growing number of women who are lonely and are suffering from loneliness. And just there's gay people, men and women on who are gay, who are also going through the same problems at the dating scene too. It's not just straight men. You've made false assumptions about this. So, in conclusion, you're looking at this with false optics. You assume that it's only white straight men who have these problems with the dating scene, and that's just not true. That's absolutely not true. Everyone gets turned down. Everyone is lonely, and everyone is not getting what they want in life. There is lots of millennials and lots of Zoomers who are not self-made, who are not being successful with themselves, and who are failing at the dating scene. You are not special in any way in that regard, Reformed Stoic. There are a lot of millennials and Zoomers that are just like you and are even worse off. And there's guys that are shorter than you are and much more uglier looking than you are. and they have a lot more problems and they still succeed at dating. So there's something wrong. You have convinced yourself and you gave up at a certain point and you failed yourself. You are at fault for your own actions, just as I am at fault with my own actions, and so is everybody else. So try to cheer yourself up. Try not to think about it. Clear your mind and don't think about it. And as soon as you don't worry or think so deeply about it, you're going to be successful again. Lying and just bullshitting will get you what you want. Sometimes you just have to have a cheat sheet. So anyways, I am your host, Imperator Forge, and this was about Reformed Stoics' bad optics, his poor optics and outlook. So David says, somebody said all handsome men must wear cool shades today. And then David says, hi. Eros Lascivicious says, are you complaining? Don't hate. Sebastian Moran says, the dreaded Forge. Eros says, anybody can do that. Interdimensional says, hard men. Eros says, don't beat yourself up. Sebastian says, the notorious gang. Eros says, like what? Why are you talking about yourself in third person? Sebastian says, Britain is now full of Thai and Chinese, etc. Dude, they're going to take over your country if you don't do something. I mean, your elites, of course, are not going to do anything. Okay, Sebastian says, yes, indeed, women... I think the women chooses the man. Krell says, sup, gang activity in chat. Goat Corp says, hey, Krell, buddy, can you zero the pin, WH? Goat Corp says, or at least smoke it without coughing. IDL says, the algorithm can't handle this correct advice. Krill says, true. IDL says, women are around twice as likely as men to have taken medication for their mental health. JC says that in rare instances, hypas. Let's see here. Sebastian says, at IDL, absolutely right, Lizard. The Dr. Warhammer is in his surgery. JC says that was the D never capitalized. Let's see here. JC says, must be a false memory. Not sure what you're going on about. Let's see here. SM says that this excellent advice normally costs thousands. JC says, can you do a ceiling painting stream? Brub. Alright, so, yeah. I see that Euros MC, or the Kino Corner, is sending some of his buddies over to watch my stream, which, more power to me, you know. Thank you a lot, Euros and Galdophilia. I'll take whatever attention or stuff that I can get. all of the positive and negative feedback is very much welcomed in the chat. So I'm your host, Imperator Forge. This has been Reformed Stoics, bad optics or false metrics. Yeah, you're looking at the world through a very false metric, and you're just going around this entitled victimhood stuff, this victimhood entitlement shit. So anyways, we're done. Have a good day.